So, Patreon. When you do one of these videos, you're supposed to introduce yourself and also introduce Patreon. But I think Patreon has been going for a while now, and I think word has gotten around. But in case you missed it, Patreon is like a recurring tip jar. You set it up to donate to a person or project every month. Whereas Kickstarter is crowdfunding for one-time projects, Patreon is crowdfunding for people who make content on a regular basis. And as for introducing myself, see, the thing is, if you don't already know who I am, then I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of asking you for money. If you're interested, then check out my website and the webcomics and the free books and the blog posts. Read the posts where I explain graphics, programming, and game development, or watch my quasi-educational YouTube videos. And if that's not enough content, there's always the collaborations I've done with other people, the video series, webcomics, or the weekly podcast. I've been at this for 8 years, so I've made a lot of content. If some of that makes you happy and you become a fan, then maybe think about coming back here and donating to my efforts. But if you have been following my work, then maybe you're wondering why I'm suddenly doing a Patreon. Well, it's actually because I had a fight with Google. Let's back up 8 years. You know in movies how they sometimes have a crazy foreigner character? Someone who's visiting America from some exotic part of the world and is therefore unaccountably insane? Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles, Ben from Short Circuit, Peter Sellers and like half of everything he ever did. Borat from Borat and Crocodile Dundee from... You get the idea. I've always been fascinated by this. Writers use it as an easy excuse to put a really insane character in the movie. Why is this guy so strange? Well, evidently he doesn't know our foreign American ways. And why do we put up with him? Same reason. Of course, Long Duck Dong wasn't strange in a particularly Chinese way. People in Australia don't actually act like Mick Dundee. And I really hope you already knew that Borat is not representative of the people of Kazakhstan. The important thing to note is that it really doesn't matter where they're from, only that they're not from around here. The writers aren't commenting on their culture, they're commenting on ours by contrasting us with this mad alien. For years I wondered what this would look like from the other side. Then about 8 years ago I went through an anime phase. In the series A Yoriyoshi, I found the Japanese version of the crazy foreigner character. Tina Foster is an American expat living in Japan, and she's basically bonkers. She has this thing where she grabs the breasts of other girls. Now, this is not an American thing to do. I don't know if it's a Japanese thing to do either. I've never been to Japan. The only things I know about Japan, I learned from anime, which means as far as I know, everyone that isn't a mech pilot is a ninja. But whether it's really socially acceptable to grab breasts in Japan or not, within the context of the show, it's kind of seen as a prank, like giving someone a wedgie. The show even makes it clear that this is supposed to be comedy. Again, it doesn't matter if this makes cultural sense or not, or if you find it funny or not. The point is that the writers wanted to have an outlandish character, and so they made her a crazy foreigner, an American. I was thrilled to find this example, and I got to see what it was like to have my country as the home of some loon. So I wrote about it on my blog. It was just a short post talking about Tina Foster and her breast-grabbing prank. Nobody read it because back in 2006, the only people who read my blog were my friends, and that was only because they were afraid I'd ask them if they read my blog. Okay, 8 years later, I made a webcomic, started a show, became a video game journalist, got some sort of nominal internet fame, left my day job, wrote a couple of books, and jumped into this whole internet personality racket. The pay sucks, but the hours are awesome, and the work is basically play. So I have nothing to complain about. Nothing until Google AdSense sent me this ominous message telling me that my website was in violation of their terms of service. I had content that didn't adhere to proper standards, and I needed to fix it in 3 days or have all ads on my site blocked. The message didn't say what I'd done wrong or what was objectionable, but they did offer a link to that 8-year-old post about Tina Foster as an example of what I'd done wrong. Now, I don't make my entire living running ads on my site or anything, but they do bring in a couple $100s a month, and they do represent a non-trivial portion of my income, so I was pretty worried about losing this. Looking at the Tina Foster post, I figured maybe someone had a problem with the images. They were small and the whole point of them was to show how non-sexual the breast grabbing was. But maybe showing a cartoon hand over a clothed cartoon breast was breaking the spirit of the law, if not the letter. It seemed pretty obnoxious to me, but I pulled the images and got over it. Then 3 days later, Google emailed me again to let me know that because I still had objectionable content on my site, I had been removed from the service. It was at this point that I realized I wasn't dealing with a person. It wasn't like somebody looked at my site and found a problem with it. The Google robot probably saw the words breast and lesbian too close together and decided the post was adult content based solely on the presence of the keywords. There's no way to communicate with Google to let them know that their system is broken, and their entire AdSense interface seems to be engineered to limit communication. The post is read by robots, flagged as inappropriate by robots, then I'm giving a warning by robots, and ultimately banned by robots. You can't communicate with a human until after you reach the appeal stage, and even then you're only given a little Twitter-sized box to make your case. And it's clear they don't want to hear it. The Twitter box isn't even for arguing with them or defending yourself. It's where you're supposed to explain what policy changes you've made to make sure this sort of offense never happens again. If you use that limited space to tell them their robot is broken, then you risk having the appeal rejected and having your site banned forever. Okay, to a certain extent, I can grudgingly accept this. Yes, it's outrageous that they treat the words breast and lesbian like they're profane. I have no idea how you'd write about gay marriage or breast cancer, for example. But whatever. I understand Google is selling ad space on websites that are out of their control, and I accept that advertisers are really skittish about where their ads appear. I'm sure Dove Soap wouldn't want their ads appearing on some sleazeball site dedicated to celebrity wardrobe malfunctions. And Walt Disney wouldn't want their stuff appearing on a blog dedicated to Harry Potter, Wizards of Waverly Place / fiction. They're paying the money, and I don't object to them erring on the side of caution. But the problem is actually worse than just having a broken, oversensitive censor bot with no human oversight. My problem is that the system is incredibly hypocritical. In the past, I've had to deal with these crass, obnoxious ads from sketchy pay-to-win web games like Evany, Sivany, and Call of Roma. These ads appear on my site even though I specifically said I don't want adult-oriented ads, and I've specifically banned these companies. And technically the product being sold is a completely non-sexual strategy game, but the ads themselves are incredibly suggestive and provocative. I mean, how can my using the words breast and lesbian in a non-sexual way be out of line, but have a Roman orgy over a picture of a half-naked woman be okay? And it's not like this was a one-time deal. I've banned these guys again and again. They changed their URL, and suddenly I've got ads for Roman orgies on my site again. These ads are using the exact same image from the same company, and Google doesn't seem to notice. Google literally banned me from their AdSense service for posting content less offensive than the stuff they put on my site, repeatedly. And maybe I could even tolerate this. Okay, it sucks, it's unfair, but I'm a software engineer and I understand that your technology doesn't always work the way you want it to. If this was just a case of Google needing to work the bugs out of their system, I wouldn't be so mad. But it's pretty clear that Google doesn't care if the system works or not. The system is broken and unfair, and there's no way to fix it or even let them know it's not working. Their system can flag any content at any time, and you're forced to remove it or be banned. They won't tell you what you did wrong, but you'd better not do it again or you're banned. They won't tell you how their system appraises content, but you'd better not offend it or you'll be banned. It's a system where you can be wrongfully accused and your only recourse is to admit guilt, accept punishment, and then make an appeal and hope there's a human being on the other side who will listen. That's not just a buggy system, that's grotesque. I don't want to spend my time haggling with the censor bot or worrying about pissing it off. I don't want to worry about discussing Batwoman and be afraid to use the word lesbian. I don't want to comment on Miss Marvel's costume and be afraid to use the word breasts. Those are not salacious topics, and I shouldn't have to categorize my website content as adults only for talking about them. I don't want to worry that the Google Smut Police will have a problem with one of the other 4,000 posts I've written over the last 8 years and oblige me to kill more of my content to appease it. It's not worth the worry and hassle, so I'm getting rid of it. I'm doing a Patreon. I know last year Penny Arcade did a Kickstarter to get rid of the ads on their site. A lot of people didn't like this, and so I'm trying to avoid making similar mistakes for fear of upsetting or offending people. For the record, I'm getting rid of the ads no matter what. They're gone now, and I'll take whatever the Patreon gives instead. I don't want you to feel like I'm holding the site hostage for money or trying to charge you for content. It all stays free. I'm going to keep doing what I've always done, but now the ads are gone. I don't have any stretch goals. I already spend a majority of my creative time making content, so I can't promise to make more. I don't have any backers-only content planned. I don't know. I'm actually making this up as I go along. Anyway, that's the plan. Whether you decide to chip in or not, thanks for listening, and thanks for reading.